Hello, my name is Phil Easter, historian and writer from Baltimore, Maryland, also known as the Amazing Memory Man. We are recording tonight on Sunday, March 12th, 2023. 5 days from now will be St. Patrick's Day, March 17th, 2023. I would just like to share a few stories tonight, a little background about St. Patrick and how this has become such a great celebration, not just in Ireland, but in the United States. It's a very big day every year. And some of my personal memories from some of the St. Patrick's Day parades I've seen in my hometown of Baltimore. Well, historians believe St. Patrick was born somewhere around 387 to 390 AD. He was actually born in Britain, not Ireland, which might surprise many people. He is considered the patron saint of Ireland, and I'll explain why shortly, but he was actually born in either England or Wales, and his parents were part of the Romanized aristocracy of Britain, because the Romans ruled Britain for almost 400 years, and it was in the year 410 AD that the emperor recalled the legions to Rome, but some of the soldiers stayed in Britain. They liked it there and they married local women. So St. Patrick might actually have some Italian roots going back several generations before him, some people believe. But he was born in Britain, and when he was about 16 years old, he was captured by Irish pirates and taken to Ireland as a slave, where he was for about 6 years. But at age 22, he escaped and got a boat back to Britain, and he became a priest, and then decided to go back to Ireland and try to convert many people to Christianity. And so he then lived in Ireland for many years, and they believe he died around 460 AD. So he was somewhere between 70 and 73 years old, which is a remarkably long life in that period of time when there were so many dangers and so many illnesses. He lived at least 7 decades. And indeed, he converted many people to Christianity. Now, over the years, and the celebration of St. Patrick's Day, and that is the day he died, by the way, March 17th. So it's not his birthday, it's the date that he died. But in the United States, it's become popular to have major parades in many cities, especially our old eastern cities, such as Boston, New York, Philadelphia, and Baltimore. And also Chicago is well known for a very big parade each year, and they color the lake in Chicago green, much of it, put green in the water for some distance. Somehow they do that. And also, some bars serve green beer on St. Patrick's Day. It's a custom. They just colorize it green somehow. But I've had some very memorable St. Patrick's Days here in Baltimore, where I've lived most of my life. I grew up in the Mount Vernon Place area of Baltimore, where, as long as I can remember, the St. Patrick's Day parade began in Mount Vernon area, and for some years it would go down Cathedral Street, past the main library of the city, and also the Basilica of the Assumption, which is the oldest Roman Catholic cathedral in the whole United States. And it would finish somewhere downtown, and still it is a similar route, except in recent years it's 1 block over on Charles Street. They start at the Washington Monument at Mount Vernon Place and go down Charles Street to the Inner Harbor. In 1969, when I was a junior in high school, I enjoyed going with the young lady I was dating at the time. Her name was Patricia. She liked to be called Pat, so it's the first time I had a date with a girl for the St. Patrick's Day parade in particular, and that was very enjoyable. And 10 years later, in 1979, the same year that later that summer, I would take a very long trip to Great Britain and Ireland. I traveled 15 weeks to many parts of those two wonderful island nations. And in Ireland in particular, I traveled 6 weeks. And that was in the summer and early fall of 1979. But the St. Patrick's Day parade that year in March, I went with a young lady named Judy Collins, which is interesting because at the same time period, in the 1970s, there was a very popular singer named Judy Collins, first and last name the same, and she had many popular songs, one called Both Sides Now, and so I went with a young lady named Judy Collins to that St. Patrick's Day parade. The next year, in 1980, there was an Irish group in Baltimore. They heard that I had gone to Ireland the year before, and they actually invited me to march in the St. Patrick's Day parade. That one year, I was among many people, several thousand people who actually marched in the St. Patrick's Day parade in Baltimore in 1980. And the year 2000, I went with a young lady named Erica to the St. Patrick's Day parade. Also, some other times I've gone out to bars on the night of St. Patrick's Day, and a very enjoyable time was St. Patrick's Day in the year 1990. An area of Baltimore called Fells Point has many bars and restaurants down there. There's just so many in that one area, a very old area of Baltimore. And that year, I had just met three young ladies from Seoul, South Korea, the year before, in 1989. They moved to Baltimore for a while. And they heard about St. Patrick's Day and how that's such a big celebration for many Americans. And they suggested we go out that night. And I said, sure, why not? And we'll go down to Fells Point to one of the bars down there. And they were triplets. They were sisters, triplets, all born the same day. Isn't that something? They were born July 12th, 1968, they told me. And so they were 21, going on 22 at that point. And their names were Sun, Moon, and Star. I thought that was cute. That's what they called themselves. They had other names, of course, but they called themselves Sun, Moon, and Star. So the four of us took a cab down to Fells Point and went to one of the bars down there. Another time, I took a trip to New York on the weekend of St. Patrick's Day. That was back in the 1970s. I ran a race, a marathon race. I was a marathon runner at that time, and I ran a race on Long Island, New York, near New York City. But I took the train up there, and I had to get out to the Long Island area, but it was the same day that the big parade was going on in New York City, the St. Patrick's Day Parade, which is one of the largest of all the cities in America. The St. Patrick's Day Parade in New York, it is the largest actually, and sometimes they have up to 150,000 people taking part. About a mile and a half on Fifth Avenue, they have that parade each year, and I think they usually have it on St. Patrick's Day exactly. Now the parade we have here in Baltimore is on usually the second Sunday of March. It was actually held today. I did not go this year, but it's usually the second Sunday of March. But I really think in the future, in my opinion, they should have it on the third Sunday because it would always be closer to St. Patrick's Day. Like next Sunday is March 19th, and St. Patrick's Day is Friday the 17th. And sometimes the third Sunday of March would be St. Patrick's Day exactly, March 17th. I remember one year, not too long ago, they still had the parade on March 10th, a week ahead of time. And in my opinion, I prefer they have it the third Sunday of March, but at least I'm glad they have it here, continuing every year. Well, I want to wish everyone a very happy St. Patrick's Day coming up in just a few days. And I have my provisions right here already, my cakes and cookies and Irish breakfast tea, and of course, Guinness. What would be St. Patrick's Day without a celebration to have a Guinness? The drink was founded in Ireland way back in 1759. And if you ever go to Dublin, you can go to the Guinness Brewery there. They welcome people, one of the big tourist sites in Dublin. So I wish everyone a very happy St. Patrick's Day coming up soon on March 17th. This is Phil Easter, the Amazing Memory Man. We'll see you next time. Another story on another subject. Thank you. Enjoy and good night.